Okay, on a positive note, Ava started swimming lessons on Saturday, and it was fun. She loved it very much. That was positive. Okay, so one positive thing. All right. So again, also if you missed what I said before, because somebody else was talking, your first test is going to be next Tuesday. All right, I always do tests on Tuesdays because Monday then you can ask questions if you need to. All right, so you can study on the weekend. Monday is for questions, and Tuesday is your test. That's what always works. Okay. The expectation is that you'll have your assignment mostly done by Monday. You'll have tried every question, and then if there's any last minute, like sort of, I don't know how to do number 8, can you give me a hand on that? That's what you do. And there's no work time in class to do your assignment. All right, you gotta do it all. Yes.
The 7 days is like a review time.
Right on. It's exactly what it is. Once you do the assignment, you find this. That's it.
Western Ontario presentation. Please proceed to the portal details back immediately after attendance. Thank you.
Okay, one other thing is because some people are saying that the textbook is wording the questions differently than I did in the class, and that's a fair thing. The assignment I write it by hand, and that's the same way the test will be written in the same language as on the assignment. Okay, so that's all right. Let's go with kind of more textbook. I'll start with 6 after and go to 10 after. Thank you. And then I'll do 17 quickly because, so yeah, no offense, took 3 pages, 2 pages, page and a half to do number 17, and that's way too much, so we're trying to fill out so we'll do it. So this is, page 49. Okay, this is, so this is page, so I know you must love it. You get into class on Monday morning and your teacher starts yelling at you. Oops. Okay, so this is page 47, number 6F. Okay, the question says f of x equals x minus 3 over 4. Okay, I'm not going to do, the way we'll do it, I'll let everyone raise their hand once on the homework take-up. Raise your hand once on homework take-up, and that's it. Can somebody tell me the first step to finding an inverse? There's 2 things I have to do here to start. What's the first thing I should do here? All right, go ahead.
Switch x and y.
Switch x and y. There's one thing I have to do before I switch x and y in this case. What is it? Go ahead. Right on. So I'm just going to call, and this you have to do because if you don't do this, there's no actual y to deal with. But RA is exactly right. Once I've done that, I'm going to do x equals y minus 3 over 4. And I'm going to take a step back and make sure that we're good. Are we all okay on the first 2 steps there? Because you have to call, remember that y is your output. Everywhere you see f of x, it means the same as y. All right? Okay, now I want to make this y equals. What's the first thing I have to do to get y by itself? Okay, Min Chan, go ahead.
Multiply 4.
Multiply by 4. Why, Min Chan, am I going to multiply by 4 first instead of add 3? Yeah, think like bedmass, right? This entire numerator is divided by 4. So just think like the way I always do with the algebra, you do the thing furthest away from the variable. So the y and the 3 are connected, get rid of the 4. It's going to change to 4x equals y minus 3. What's the next thing? Somebody else to get y by itself. The next step is what? Yeah, Owen, go ahead.
You have to divide it by 3.
Good. So I'm going to do 4x plus 3 equals y. I'm going to write that as 4x plus 3 equals negative 1x. And the reason I do that is because there's no more y's, at least in this first article. Okay. Now, did that hopefully match the back of the book? I hope that one did. But I think probably is that fraction that got you guys mixed up, right, with the subtraction and all that. Okay, please be brave and ask questions. This homework take-up time is for you guys. Go ahead.
So it's the negative x inverse.
Right on. As soon as it turns to an inverse, as soon as you flip the x and the y, that changes to the inverse, right? So technically you could write it if you wanted to, but don't. I shouldn't even write this on the board, so I don't want you to do it. Like you could do this. Okay, but that's that's. Okay.
That would be
That's still right. That's still right. Okay, because y is gone, right? But all right. Sort of feeling a slight bit better. Lindsay, a little bit better than you were before. Good. Okay, 10F is coming next. I probably have to do most of 10 for this. 10F says, oh, this is a good one. G inverse of 13 minus G inverse of 7 all over 13 minus 7. Is that the way the question's written? Okay, we need 3 things before I can solve this question. Let's say they just gave you that. Actually, probably find out what G of X equals. What G of X equals? G of T. Okay. We need 3 things before I can start this question. Can somebody be brave and tell me, looking at that top equation, what's the first thing that I need? Go ahead.
Value of G inverse 13 and the value of G inverse 7.
Good. I'm gonna even go one step. You do need those 2 things. I'm gonna go one step before that. In order to get G inverse of 13, what do you need?
G13.
Nope. Close though.
The inverse.
Yeah, the inverse. Okay. The first thing I'm gonna find is G inverse of T. Because once I have that, then I can just sub in 13, then I can just sub in 7. And hopefully on the questions A, B, C, D, or E, they make you find that. I hope, right?
Yeah, I do.
They do? Okay.
Isn't this tense?
What's that?
Isn't this tense?
Yeah, probably. But I'm just doing half here at the beginning. I think. Half is the G inverse, not. Right? See, C is just the G of, and half is G inverse. Is that the right one here? That's the right one, isn't it? Well, 10C is without the negative 1. Yeah, so 10C is the negative, 10C is just G of 13, and 10F is G inverse of 13. All right, can somebody be brave and give me the first step? Going back to solving G inverse of T, what's the first step going to be? I'm not going to yell, but if you're not raising your hand right now, you should be. First, let's pretend that was G of X equals 3X minus 2. What would the first step be? Yeah, y. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this then y equals 3t minus 2. Okay, somebody be brave and give me a second step from here. The inverse. Go ahead, Alistair. Y and t, okay? Because remember, it's input and output. Normally it's x and y, but it's input and output. So I'm going to call that t equals 3y minus 2. Now we just solve for y and Bob drop off. I've never said that before, but nobody's getting a text or a tweet or a hashtag or whatever else. Base thing. Oh, and you're so popular. All right, I'm never popular. I never get it. How do you solve for y? What's the next step here, please? Yeah, go ahead.
You add the 2.
Okay. So t plus 2 is 3y. Great. Last step to get y by itself is? Get one there. What do you think? So it's going to be t plus 2 over 3 equals y. And go to the next page, and I call that f inverse of t equals t plus 2 over 3. Now this was hopefully somewhere earlier in this question, right?
Yeah.
G's, right? G, that's right. Thank you. Very accurate, not gonna like that, that's good, okay? So that's the equation for G inverse of T. Now, as Alistair said, I need to find G inverse of 13 and G inverse of 7. All right? Can somebody please tell me how I would find G inverse of 13, please? Yeah, go ahead, Troy.
Substitute T for 13.
Good. So I'm going to say G inverse, and do it in red, of 13 equals 13 plus 2. Now I'm just going to do this work on the side, okay, and then I'll sub it in at the end. So 13 plus 2 is 15 over 3, which equals 5. Then I'm going to do G inverse of 7, which should be 7 plus 2 over 3, which is 9 over 3, which equals 3. So I'm looking for then G inverse of 13 minus G inverse of 7 all over 13 minus 7. That's what I'm actually looking for. I'll get out of the way here. Okay, so I just subbed in numbers. Can somebody tell me who's not raised their hand today? Be brave. Give me the final step, knock this one out of the park. Chris, you raised your hand 100 times, so I'm not going yet?
Yeah,
Chris, go.
so then it would be 5 minus 3.
Yeah.
Which is 2, and then over 6.
Of course, 2 over 6 we don't like, we're going to call that 1/3. Okay. Now that's a cool question, I like it. Hopefully this was like, I think B or C or something, wasn't it? Find the equation for the inverse. That was B. C. Well, it didn't actually make you find the inverse anywhere, okay? But I think we did a question like this on Friday, and I said, if they ask you to find G inverse of something, I said bracket hint, find G inverse, F inverse X first. Do you remember I said that in the notes? I hope I did.
Yes.
That sure giving me that scrunch up look on your face. But I definitely did that. I said hint, find, and that was for this question in homework, right? Because I knew this one would come up in these video guys. All right, I'm going to jump. Now, please be brave and ask, okay? Because this is tricky. You just got to. The problem with this question, if you're not heading down the right path, it's hard to get yourself back on track, right? All right, next one is going to be 17. Now, this one I put on the test the last 3 years. It's hard to say what's going to happen this year. But on the last 3 years, this question was on the test. It says, oh yes. Here we go. If f of x equals k 2 plus x, find k if f inverse of 2 is equal to -3. Now this question, sorry, thank you. Okay, this question has stumped the generation because when I put this on the test, 3/4 of the class or 90% of the class doesn't get it. They have no idea what to do. So it says f inverse of 2 is equal to -3. Can I write that another way? F inverse of 2 is equal to -3. What's another way? Go ahead.
Isn't it f inverse -2?
Oh, is it -2 or +2?
I have -2 written down, so that's okay. I want to double check.
Is it -2? I think it was 2 and -3. I thought it was like
I thought it was -2 and -3.
Isn't x -2 and y -3?
Okay, good check. It's -2.
Either way, okay. That's okay. Oh goodness me. Okay, so how do I deal with how's another way I can write f inverse of -2 equals -3? Some way I can write that. Yeah, I'll go ahead. Good. This means, and this is the key to this question, f of -3 is equal to -2. Can someone other than Alistair explain where he got that? Because this is, without that, it's impossible to solve this question. Or it'll take you 3 pages. Go ahead, come on. Flip the x and the y. That's the full purpose of an inverse. If you have an inverse, to flip the x and the y, will get back to the original function. Now, how does that help me solve this question? Sorry, go ahead.
You can substitute both the x and the y into the equation.
Good. So this is your x, this is your x, that's your y. So I can solve -2 equals k 2 plus -3. Yeah, I'll call it that. Yeah, no problem. Okay, so we said f of x, well the value of f of x is -2. So I subbed it in there. Okay. Equals k is the same, 2 is the same, x we know is -3. So this is like your x value, that's like f of x. Okay, so then it's going to be -2 equals k times -1, so k equals. Okay, that's more low. Hopefully that's what we eventually latched onto at the end there, to say there, but that's meant to be a quick question. If you know, if you could get the first step right, that's meant to be a quick question. But the problem is that first trick, going from f inverse of -2 equals -3 to f -3 equals -2, that's the thing you have to get or else it's impossible.
We always say f of x is y.
Yes. That's what always, at least in this course right now, and definitely next semester, probably forever. Yeah, okay. Remember, x is what you put in, f of x is what you get out. Or in this case, t is what you put in, back to here. T is what you put in, and G of T is what you get out. So it's like the one dot. All right, any other questions on the homework before we get on to the warm-up? You guys are so polite. I'm going to pause in the video and I'm going to start the warm-up. You guys should be completing the square. You should have completed the square.